better daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. I hope you're doing super well. Happy Monday. It's Mindset Monday, and on Mindset Monday, I share with you the mindset that I'm walking into the week with, and I can't wait to hear what yours is. And I don't have to wait for that because it is day 3 of the Faithful 40 Challenge. We started on January 1st, which was Saturday, this past Saturday over the weekend. And the Faithful 40 Challenge is hardcore underway. We've seen food journals and exercise logs, and we've seen mindsets. And so many of you are working hard already with a huge, powerful start to the Faithful 40 Challenge, working hard to get toward goals for this year and springboarding into 2022 in an awesome and meaningful way. So keep up the good work. I'm super excited about what we're doing here. And a quick invite. If you haven't already marked your calendar for tomorrow night is getting the most out of your Faithful 40 Challenge. Even if you're not registered for the Faithful 40 Challenge, even if you're not participating, you are definitely welcome to join us. We're going to be going through, a bunch of things that are going to be helpful to you, but primarily we're going to be talking about those habits that are going to make the most difference, that we can get the most bang for our buck through the Faithful 40 Challenge, and also how to utilize the resources and the community here to make sure that you are maximally accountable and maximally inspired throughout this challenge. So please join us tomorrow night. It'll be at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you'll see the link and all that come out for the meeting via the app. So today's mindset is, if you're going through hell, keep going. It's become very apparent in the start of our Faithful 40 Challenge here that many of us in this community are either recovering from COVID or about a month out of recovering from COVID. And it seems to be endemic at this point. Everybody is going to get this thing at one point or another. And, whether you get the original variant or whether or not you get the Delta or Omicron, that remains to be seen. And it also remains to be seen, which one of those infections is harder to recover from. And I wanted to talk about this today, particularly because one of the things that people aren't talking about with regard to COVID, because, there's arguments in the world and masking and vaccinating and all that stuff. And there's arguments in the world about hospitalizations and deaths, and, that's from a macro perspective. But when you go through an intense immune response, one of the side effects and one of the things that's residual about most COVID infections is a bout with depression. And not many people are talking about it, and I wanted to talk about it because I experienced this through my COVID infection, and it sounds like there are several people in our community who are experiencing this post-COVID, and so I wanted to speak into that. So first, I had COVID shortly after COVID broke, and it was rough, I had several different signs and symptoms and stuff. The actual acute infection, the respiratory and the sinuses and stuff, honestly, the flu hit me a lot harder than COVID did with regard to, how hard it was to breathe and O2 sats. And I know that's not the case for everybody, but that's how I experienced it. But the post-infection effects were really brutal for me. I ended up with shingles. So I'm in my 30s. I shouldn't have shingles, but I ended up with shingles. I had a nice big patch across my back and my chest. I had an ulcerative colitis flare up. It was just brutal on my digestive tract. There was a period of time where I could only eat very specific certain things, or I'd be in excruciating pain, and I'd wake up and I wouldn't be able to fall back asleep from 2 to 6 a.m. And it was rough. I lost 12 pounds. I maintain a relatively low body fat percentage. So for me to lose 12 pounds, it's not good. I'm not like, yeah, I lost it. It's not. I don't want to lose 12 pounds. It was hard. And, all that fine. I dealt with it. It was fine. But the following several weeks, maybe even a couple months, it took me a while to put my finger on, but I was depressed. I was down. I was not okay. And it was weird, because I'm an enthusiastic individual. I'm not used to wrestling with a low mood. I'm not used to not finding joy in the things that are joyful to me, but I remember with Ehlers-Danlos, I'm used to wrestling with fatigue. That's something I've dealt with in my life, which, kind of manifests as like a 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Like, I'm like, man, I need to go take a nap for like, even just 20 minutes. If I can lay down and deep breathe for a second, and then I can get up, and then I can jump on the trampoline with my kids and wrestle around with them, because I've got 2 rough and tumble boys, and being fatigued and not with it is just not an option in my world. So I'm used to that, but the depression was different. It was like inside of me was this stormy cloud, and everything was a struggle. Getting out of bed was a struggle. Commenting encouraging messages to my clients through their workout program was a struggle. Having conversations with people that I would normally find joyful, I was kind of going through the motions, and I had a kind of a piss poor attitude. People would tell me their problems, and normally I feel compassion, but I'm also, kind of hard-nosed about it. I'm like, what can we do about that? How can we make that better? Let's, deal with this with a positive mindset and see how we can make progress here. Inside, while I was in that space, instead I was like, really, that's your problem? That's what you're upset about? Like, God, man, there are like people dying in the world and stuff, and you're whining about this. And that's not me. I promise you, that's not my normal disposition. But man, it was hard. And I had a hard time finding joy in some of the things that were just generally joyful to me. I remember walking to the creek with my boys here in our neighborhood on a beautiful day. The sun was shining down. The weather was perfect here in Arkansas. It's like the birds were chirping. Gabriel's riding his bike. Bennett's being his cute self. And I'm just going through the motions. And I mean, the creek was beautiful, and we saw a snake, and there were fish, and we were throwing rocks in, and I'm on the outside. I'm just going through the motions. I'm not involved. I'm not engaged. I can't handle it. I'm just there. And man, it was rough. It was so rough. And I've never been through anything like that. Honestly, I've never been through anything like that. We've lost family members before, and grief is crushing and difficult. Like I've said, I've wrestled with fatigue, with Ehlers-Danlos, but I've never been through that kind of depression, where it's like you're living a double life. On the inside, everything sucks, and on the outside, you're like, I'll go through the motions, I'll manage this, but I'm not okay. So I bring this mindset to you guys, and sorry, I know it sounds particularly discouraging, but I'm bringing this mindset to you today because there are some people in our community who are there right now. What I have to say to you is, when you're going through hell, keep going. Because even in that space, I knew that eating well would be good for my brain and my body. I maintained, getting enough vitamin D on a regular basis and getting some B vitamins. I might have self-medicated with a little too much caffeine, perhaps, but hey, man, there are worse things in the world, and a few extra cups of coffee isn't going to kill you too bad. But I did what I needed to do. I went through the motions. I kept doing that. I knew that exercise would help to, jumpstart that process. In fact, last week during Wildcard Wednesday, I presented to you an episode that I did on depression and exercise. And this was actually, I repurposed this episode and revamped it during that time, because I needed to revisit it. I was like, man, I need to know this stuff. I need to address this in me. I need to kickstart my brain and move forward. So I knew those things, right? But at the end of the day, the question was, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with myself right now? Because I could sit here, I could curl up in a corner and cry. I could entertain, poor and negative thoughts. I could let the world go to hell in a handbasket in my mind. It could be tragic and terrible. Or I could keep going. I could keep putting one foot in front of the other. If you're going through hell, keep going. Because if you don't, you stay there. There's a really powerful passage in Psalms. It's attributed to King David. You've probably heard it before. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. This is the happy, the joyful thing, right? But then he goes on to say, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That middle passage there where he's depressed. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. He's depressed, right? It sounds like the antidote is, you are with me. I won't be afraid. I wasn't afraid. I was depressed. That's not a really helpful passage. The operative word in the middle of all that. Yea, though I walk. Yea, though I walk. I'm still moving forward. Even though I'm in this terrible place. Even though it's difficult. Even though I know I'm going to do my weights workout, but every movement sucks and I have to take breaks in between. I'm not really excited about it. I look in the mirror and I don't see my results, and that's frustrating. Yea, though I walk. I'm going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep going through the motions, because if you're going through hell, you have to keep going. You have to keep walking. You just do. That's how it works. Yea, though I walk. Not yea, though I stand still. Yea, though I walk. Maybe you crawl. Maybe you run. But if you're going through hell, keep going. And thank you to those of you who have taken the time to let us know that's where you're at. And even more than that, you're not whining to the group. You are showing us exactly what action you're taking, even though it's hard. You're showing us exactly the fight you're wrestling with, even though you don't feel like it. That's good. That's exactly one of the things that we do here at Better Daily. We pick up our cross and we keep moving forward. That's what we do. I'm proud of you. You keep up the good work. And if you're depressed, nothing I said today feels very good. But if you don't hear anything else from me today, hear this. Keep going. You're not alone. This has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Thank you for joining me for Mindset Monday. Tomorrow's Nutrition Tip Tuesday, which doesn't sound nearly as heavy, but we will get there. And until then, keep up the good work in the Faithful 40 Challenge. It's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's later when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.